support Measure N and why?
Absolutely, 100%. Reason being that the biggest argument that I see from the public is saying local government and state government have screwed us out of our money several times over, and they've used funds that they said they would use for one part of the government, and they used it for another. However, I'm really excited that in Measure N, it is very specific that it goes to fire and the PD, and the PD and the fire are now managing their own funds. So to even get those funds, the city council would have to go for them, as they did recently for the river cleanup. They all sat in the room, they said, how much money can you give, and how much money? They asked permission from the PD and the fire department. And the fire department and PD were more than happy to give money and man hours that they did not have. And some of the officers came on their day off and volunteered to ensure that we were all safe. We have people in this community, both, so I volunteered a few times over it, not volunteered. I went on a few ride-alongs, and I went on at the fire department. Some of the fire officials are paid minimum wage when they've been offered 90K jobs elsewhere and they've chosen to stay. Tara Avila is a perfect example of someone who's been offered a job several times elsewhere and has chosen to stay here because she loves this place so much. Is it true that our county and our city are on the verge of, collapse to some degree within the next 5 years? Yes. But does that mean that we make the people that are literally in our streets covering doing the things that we don't want to do? No. I think that we should support it to not only save their jobs, but also the 1% does also cover Amazon and eBay, so also accounts for online sales now. So any purchases made in city limits for online sales are now going to the PD. So it actually might be more than we're expecting. I think that we should be in support of it because yes, it's true that we have to find new ways to get money. However, I think that we can make it work with what we've got.
Sounds like that was perfect timing.
I thought it was gonna be the last one.
Paper was gonna go off. Quincy, do you support Measure N and why?
Okay, yeah, awesome question, awesome responses, everybody. So maybe I'll try an analogous approach. In a sense, you get what you pay for. So if I can afford one officer, there's one officer on the street. But if I can afford two officers and I want two officers, you get what you pay for. But what if, let me change the scenario a little bit. I'm building a foundation for a house. And I've got my floorboards up and I order concrete. The truck comes and we're about to pour concrete. But instead of concrete, bubblegum comes out. Bubblegum, pink bubblegum instead of concrete. Well, that's going to be fun to chew on for a while. But the problem is, and that's the problem that I think city council and city staff solved, was that before, you didn't know that if you wanted to purchase or to maintain your police staff or hire another police officer, if that's what you were going to get. The beauty behind what staff and what listening to the community, when they proposed taxes in the past and having them fail, and council listening to the community, is that now it's set up to you where you get what you pay for. 100% of any tax revenue for the special tax goes to cops and firefighters only.
Okay. I'm changing the question.
I need the answer. You don't want me to answer?
Do you have something different to add?
I support it, absolutely.
Okay.
You can go to the next question. It's gonna be a lot of the same. It's gonna be a lot of the same. But it needs to be on the record. I'm totally in support of it.
You put it on the ballot, didn't you?
Ron?
As explained before, I have to go. I have an issue here. Thank you very much for your hospitality, and thank you very much for inviting me. 1719 3rd Street, bring your own hedge trimmer.
Thanks, Rob.
I have a new question for you.
All right.
Would you consider campaigning for our many school districts, consolidating into one superintendent for all of Lassen County schools?
Great question. And actually, I was on the school board for 4 years a while back. And actually, very would do that. I think it's a great idea if we can combine all the schools that have it under one umbrella. I think it would save a ton of money, and I think it's a great idea that we need to look forward to. I think it'd be an amazing idea. I mean, we have some very, very high paid people out there that I think we can combine salaries, maybe lose some principals, vice principals, and do that. I'm totally for that. Thank you.
See, no, you got a really good question. I'm trying to be fair here. Nicholas, take a shot at that one. Would you consider campaigning for our many school districts and consolidating into one superintendent for all of Lassen County?
As president of the school board, I don't think that's for us to campaign. I think that's something that we might suggest it to the school boards, but I think that's for them to decide if they want to do that. That'd be kind of like me telling someone what they can or can't do somewhere else where I don't have jurisdiction. Telling the city what to do from these counties.
Randy, how about you? What do you think about consolidating school districts under one superintendent?
Well, seeing how I am actually quite new in all of our efforts in this community, school board wise and education wise, it seems to make sense to me to consolidate, but the first thing I'd want to do is understand our resources, what we do have, how they are being used, and what would be the best step to take, as opposed to, yes, I would support it, or no, I'm not quite there yet. I would need to do a lot of homework on that issue, but taking advantage of our resources is a huge issue with me. Taking what we have and making the best of it. Thank you.
Chris, I'm gonna give you a new question because we're running out of time here.
Okay.
This one has to do with economic development. And how do you picture long-term planning, improving economic development, and what type of policy can the city and the county implement to improve economic development and public safety?
Wow, that's a pretty broad
I know.
question, extremely. I probably could be here all day talking about that particular.
Give us two examples of how you would see the city and county combining efforts for economic development. Does that cover your question?
So yeah, I think,
Yeah, that was my question, and I was kind of referring to like, so there's lots of things you can campaign for, or you can do outreach for, but, what are specific policies, that you could implement that you think would improve, like attract the right kind of business to Lassen County or whatever?
well, of course, advertising is always very important. And what, we started out, what I did immediately when I got on the board was, I knew tourism was one of the biggest things that we had here to improve the economy and look at the number of places that are great that we have to go. We're the gateway to Lassen Park, and we have all these great natural resources. And so my first thing that I did, looked into, was we joined Shasta Cascade, Visit California, Shasta Cascade Wonderland, Visit California, and advertised this area, because really it hadn't been done before. Have you ever asked people where Eagle Lake is? Have you ever been there? People don't know, but Eagle Lake is the second largest natural lake in California. And so they don't know that it has its own species of trout in it either. So I wanted to get that word out, so that's why we joined. I did it through my discretionary funds. And we've gotten that word out. They've already put an article in their magazine for it and have it up on their website. So that's a success. We need to get more things like that. And I think the city and the county can work much better together in their planning as well. We had a recent kind of spat, I guess, in terms of putting a business into some of the county area that's in the sphere of influence for the city. You know, those kind of things can really help us if we plan together and we figure out strategies to bring in businesses, and we could do tax sharing agreements and things like that we should come up with. And so, you know, of course, there's always going to be areas that we can improve, but advertising what we have here, I think, is the most important thing to get out there and to get people to come up here, not only to visit but to live.
So Chris, who's in charge of advertising?
Man, we have nobody. Well, yeah, but we don't have anybody in the county right now. We do supply funding to the Chamber of Commerce to do that, and that's what we work for.
So,
I have a question. How do you determine success? You said you were successful. Were you successful in just advertising, or were you successful with results from the advertising? So how much bang are you gonna get for your buck on that?
Well, we spent $2,000. I'm absolutely positive we got $2,000 back. The success was to finally get something in that magazine and let people know. So what we need to do is follow up and start to ask people again, do you know where Eagle Lake is? Do you know that we're the gateway to the Lhasa National Park? I think there are things that we need to follow up on, but I'm absolutely positive that we got our bang for the buck.
Guys, how long are we gonna go? Do we have a time limit here?
We do. Chris has used his minutes, Quincy, Thomas, David left, right?
Yeah.
Rod's left. You got a couple